Hi, this is Candy from Monarch Academy, and today I'm going to show you the math concept of decimal and fraction multiplication based upon our math standard 5.NBT.7, which states add, subtract, multiply, and divide decimals to hundredths using concrete models or drawings and strategies based on place value, properties of operations, and/or the relationship between addition and subtraction. Relate the strategy to a written method and explain the reasoning used. So to begin, I would have my learning target written for the students. And the learning target today states, I can demonstrate the relationship between decimal and fraction multiplication. I would break down anything in the learning target that the students need clarification on, and we would move on to our first sample problem. Now, sample problem number 1 will be solved using a model. The problem is written as 1/10 times 1 2/10. 1/10 written as a fraction times 1 2/10 written as a decimal. So the first thing I would have the students do is rewrite 1 2/10 as a fraction. They would be able to tell me that 1 2/10 is the same as 12/10. They have this prior knowledge, so they should be able to change 1 2/10 into 12/10 because there are 12/10 in the 2 is in the tenths place and the 1 is over in 1 whole. Then I would have the students rewrite the problem 1 1/10 times 12/10. Using our model here, the students would then identify what 1 2/10 looks like. So they would color in the entire first hundreds block. They would do a better job than I would. And then they would shade in 2/10 of the other block. Now, because we are using 100, the students need to make the connection that one entire row would represent 1/10, and a second row would represent 2/10. So now they have modeled 1 2/10. The students would then have to find out what is 1/10 of the 1 2/10. Therefore, they would then shade in 1/10 of these two. They would shade these in horizontally. So they would go all the way across. You could do both. They would go all the way across if need be, because some students like to see both. And then they can simply count the ones that have been shaded in both yellow and blue. And they are 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12. So they would then say that 1/10 times 1 2/10 would be 12/100ths. They would get this answer by simply multiplying our numerators. 1 times 12 equals 12, and 10 times 10 equals 100. 12 and 12/100ths. Our second sample problem is actually a combination of 3 sample problems, and we are going to solve these using a fraction multiplication sentence. First, if you notice, we are using the same numbers, however their values are different based upon the placement of the decimal point. The first problem reads 1 5/10 times 3. I would have the students rewrite 1 5/10 times 3 in fraction form. 1 5/10 would become 15/10 times 3 whole. Using your discretion, you could either leave it as a 3 or as a 3/1. Some students need a visual between numerator and denominator. I would then solve my denominator first. So I would rewrite this problem 15 times 3 over 10 times 1, which is 10. Students would then see that they can solve the numerator now. 15 times 3 is 45. It is written over tenths. Using their knowledge, they would know that 45 tenths is also written as 4 and 5 tenths. My second sample, I would do the same thing. I would rewrite 1 and 5 tenths as 15 tenths, multiplying it by 3 tenths.
Good afternoon, everybody. If you are attending session,
And I would then do the same thing, multiplying my denominator, 10 times 10 equals 100, and 15 times 3 equaling 45. The students would then see the difference between 45 tenths and 45 hundredths, and that would be rewritten as 45 hundredths. My last example would be 15 hundredths times 3 tenths. This time, we notice it is 100 times 10. Multiplying our denominators first would give us 1,000. And then multiply our 15 times 3, which again equals 45. This time, however, we see that we need to write 45 as 45 thousandths. So hopefully the children will be able to make the connection between the placement of the decimal and the value of the fraction. I hope this helps. Have a great day.